Hi, I'm Joe Hightower. Recently, Paul Rudershausen, Jeff Buckle, and I completed a study to estimate discard mortality using surface and bottom tagging. We tested the approach on black sea bass, a recreationally and commercially important reef fish in the U.S. South Atlantic. Black sea bass are frequently caught using traps and hook and line. However, many are discarded, that is, thrown back, due to regulations used to manage the species. These regulations include size limits, possession limits, and closed seasons. To manage black sea bass and other reef fishes, we need to know what percentage of discarded fish will survive. Regulations that result in discarding only work if most discarded fish survive. The problem with reef fish is that they are caught in deep enough water so that there are pressure changes when they are hauled to the surface. These changes in atmospheric pressure can cause injuries referred to as barotrauma. The black sea bass shown here has undergone a big enough change in depth that its air bladder has pushed its stomach out into its mouth. We need to estimate whether these fish survive. Our approach was to compare the number of tags returned from fish tagged at the surface, like these shown here given red tags, versus a control group of fish tagged on the bottom by divers, given the orange tags here. This picture shows a diver putting a tag in a black sea bass that had been caught in a trap. By tagging on the bottom, these fish did not experience the pressure changes of a fish hauled to the surface. Here's an example of how the tagging approach works. Let's say that 300 fish were caught, hauled to the surface and tagged, and then divers tagged an equivalent number of black sea bass on the bottom. We can look at the number of tags returned from each group, the only difference being whether fish were tagged on the bottom or at the surface. If we get very few tags back from surface tagged fish compared to fish tagged on the bottom, that suggests that there is a lot of mortality associated with the rapid depth change. In our study, we actually got similar numbers back from bottom tagged fish versus fish in good condition tagged at the surface. We estimate that mortality associated with being brought to the surface is about 10%. Two other groups of fish that were tagged at the surface had more serious injuries. Fish that were deep or gill hooked had a 64% mortality rate, while those that floated because of barotrauma and or hook trauma had an 84% rate of mortality. We hope that our results are useful for managing black sea bass in the South Atlantic, but also that our approach of comparing bottom and surface tagged fish is useful for many species that are found in deep water. Thanks for viewing.